I thought we'd take a quick look at the Gawith Navy Flake today. Not your average Navy Flake. This one does include just a touch of Latakia to help things out a little bit. Mostly center stage are, of course, the wonderful Virginias. A little light flavoring, top note casing, if you will, of some rum flavoring. And I detect just a hint of the classic lakeland essence somewhere in the background, bracing up the Virginias. A nice flake. Let's get into it.
Well, I hope everybody had a Merry Christmas, and I am, of course, the U.S. Piper with you this morning. Back from holiday travels. In my travels, as you just saw in the pictures, actually on the way back we stopped somewhere that wasn't very far off of our journey, and there weren't any really great pipe shops, cigar, tobacco type shops really in our immediate travel corridor. But there was one that looked okay. I saw online that they had some pictures of like pipes, and I couldn't tell if they were all baskets or if they had some estates or what it was. But it looked like they at least had some selection of pipes and pipe tobaccos and related stuff. So we ran in there, and it was one of those shops, a lot of vape stuff, a lot of paraphernalia. Not a lot of that, but it had a little bit of everything kind of place, and nice Hindu, Middle Eastern gentleman running it, and he was a really nice guy, and actually gave me a discount because I bought a fair amount of stuff. He didn't have a lot. They had a pretty good selection of over-the-counter blends, mostly pouches, but they had some larger bulk, plastic tins of, like Carter Hall, half and half, Prince Albert, I think, a lot of Carter Hall. I remember seeing the half and half, and they kind of had all those OTC blends and Sir Walter and all that stuff. And then they had like the whole line of like the value line. I can't remember the name of it. It's Value something. They sell it at P&S. And I haven't really tried any of those, but I think a lot of them they're not anything I'd particularly be real interested in. But they did have some tin tobacco, mostly Mac Baren. Stuff seemed to be most of what they had. They had about 3 or 4 glass shelves of pipes, mostly baskets of varying price levels. Some of them were a little nicer, but they were priced to where you could probably find like a Savinelli on sale on their nicer stuff. And they looked nice, but they weren't, anything. They weren't exactly worth the money to me. But they had a very good selection of lower price baskets, of which I actually did find one that I liked and picked up. It's a H.I.S. Italian briar, which is inexpensive. They're kind of seconds / cheaper pipes made for export. They are Italian, made. And this particular one was just a nice little billiard. It was a very basic shape, and the drilling was good on it. The geometry was all pretty good. Of course, the hole for the drilling for the tenon runs about a 1/4 inch past the tenon. But everything was straight and true, and it looked good. And it had fairly thick walls, including the bottom. They didn't over-drill it or anything. And the tenon looked good. Everything fit good. So other than, it could have been, I don't think you would have wanted to make the tenon any longer. But they could have drilled the hole for the tenon about a 1/4 inch nearly less and been okay. But, that's what you're going to get in a basket pipe. And it smokes fine. I smoked some St Bruno Ready Rub that I had open on the way home, and it did fine. Not what I'd usually load for the first time in a pipe, but that's what I had open, and you hit a little traffic. We're coming back from Atlanta, so we kind of hit some traffic, and I thought, this is a good time for a pipe, so I'm going to break that sucker out. And it did well. Of course, you get the cheaper material stem on this type of pipe. But you know what? If you're going to put a piece of PVC tube over it anyway. And although it's thick-walled, it clinches very easily. It's a good little pipe for the money. I didn't pay very much for it. So more than anything, I just kind of wanted to buy a pipe. And this was the only thing I saw that both was pretty darn cheap and actually made well enough that it looked like it'd be a good smoker. And it was. Of course, the big thing is what they did actually have, I guess because there aren't a lot of pipe smokers hitting that shop up, is he had like most of the Samuel Gawith line sitting there in tins, had doubles of a few of them. And I mean, he didn't have squadron leader, of course. That's always going to be the first thing. Somebody sees that and buys every tin he has. So that was gone. I would have loved to have gotten a tin of that, but I got several other ones, as I showed. I got the Navy Flake, which I'm about to try. I got some of the Best Brown Flake, Commonwealth, which is supposed to be like a full strength English blend mixture. Some of the Brown number 4 Finest Kendall Twist. I'm excited to try that. And I got some of the Skiff mixture. So I'm kind of going through my phone real quick trying to figure out which ones are which, because I'm not familiar with the Samuel Gawith line, other than I know I wanted to try some of it, and it's always out of stock whenever I'm ordering anything. I don't really generally run like, oh, this is in stock, I'm going to do an order. I have to pretty much be doing an order, and then if I look for other stuff that I want that they happen to have, and with the Gawith stuff, that doesn't line up very often. It hasn't lined up for me. So thankfully, when the Dunhill / Peterson came back in, that came in force, so I didn't have any problem stocking up on those. The Gawith stuff, of course, is lower volume produced and imported tobacco. So when I saw that, I decided to let loose some Christmas money. So we'll have several of those things coming up, and we'll get to try those together and enjoy them. And yeah, I'm excited about that. I have a few C&D blends I haven't really put up yet. And by C&D, they're probably like, there's 1 or 2 Captain Earles. There's at least a couple GLPs, which are kind of my 2 favorite lines that are distributed by C&D. And a couple of those have age on them, and a couple of them are, recent production. So a little bit of everything there. I picked up one of these. I'm sure they're probably Chinese little pipe stands, but isn't that cute? I use a piece of foam from a guitar pickup case a lot of the time because it doesn't scratch anything. It fits every single pipe. In fact, as embarrassing that is, I'm gonna bust that out and show you. You throw that on a table, and the cool thing is it fits in my little sunglasses hard shell case that I carry my little short saddle stemmed billiard in, that fits in it lengthwise, and it's the size of an eyeglass case, and you have everything you need there, and that fits kind of in the roof and keeps everything from rattling. So I can't believe we're already at 7 minutes, but that was kind of my holiday score. So without further ado, I smoked some Captain Earle's private stock with several years on it, a few years anyway, four going on 5 years, something like that. I had the pre-light done on this already. Very interesting. I give this a little dry time. I left the flake out for like 20 minutes. And then I decided to just rub it out as I showed, and I gave it another 20 minutes. This wasn't overly wet. I know a lot of the tobacco generally is, but this one I think is about a year, a little over. I think the date code on it was like 269. So, 269 months from December of 1995, whatever that is, somewhere in 2018, I believe. Not the average Navy Flake. It is treated with some rum before it's hot pressed, and it has some different Virginias in it. Of course, they have very nice Virginias, from what I hear in the Samuel Gawith line, and I'm not disappointed. Very nice. Very nice Virginia profile. What's different about this one is there's a little bit of Latakia in the mix. There's not a lot, as you can see from the picture. It's not a ton, but it's just enough that you can catch it in there, and it does add to the fullness and the smokiness of it quite nicely. And you don't normally see that paired, with a classic Virginia rum Navy Flake kind of profile. And if you're a Latakia fanatic like I am to some extent, not all the time, not full time, but that's pretty good. Mm. It's not a lot, but it's enough to add a little extra something in there. It's nice. I'll give a more detailed, review of it when I've spent some time with this blend. I just kind of wanted to share my score with you, and hope you all had a Merry Christmas, and looking forward to a Happy New Year. I hope you are too. Mm. Mm. Kind of getting down to that 25% endpoint where things are starting to bloom. Very nice. Very, very nice. I kind of almost feel like there might be a little bit of that lakeland essence in here. Fairly certain there is a little bit of that. It's not heavy. It's not as heavy as like St Bruno's even. It's a little different. And there's that little bit of rum. It doesn't come through much, but you can tell there's something else. And I believe that's what it is, and it's nice. Not a lot of that comes through, but you can tell there's a little, and I like that in a Navy Flake. This, of course, not being a very traditional Navy Flake with the presence of some Latakia in there. And it's not a lot again, but I'll tell you, this could be a nice all-day smoke or warm weather smoke, or warmer weather all-day smoke for somebody that just wants a little something besides Virginia. Um, hmm, those are some nice Virginias. I don't mind that little bit of Latakia at all. Mm, this was worth the price of entry, definitely. Mm. There's some flavors going on here, and I think I like all of them. It's going to take me a while to wrap my mind around everything that's going on in this, but as it goes, it's just getting nicer. So I'm going to leave this there. I don't want another long video. I was just going to throw that out there that I didn't know how that would work. Like I felt like if they did it, it must work having a little Latakia in there with a Virginia flake, but people put burley in them all the time, different things. So why not? Why not? Mm. Feel like there's a little bit of lakeland essence in there. It's not prominent, but it does that reinforce the Virginia things a little nicely. It may just be something that's in their Virginias. I don't know. What I do know is that the folks making Samuel Gawith tobacco do know exactly what they're doing. Mm-hmm. It's different, but it's completely awesome. That is a tasty tobacco. you need some of that in your life. The U.S. Piper out.